Welcome to another 6.5 Media virtual webcast. Today I'm spending time with Nokia, and we're talking about the company's journey with autonomous networks. Joining me today is Vijal Singh. He's the Senior Vice President of Cloud and Network Services for Nokia. And I'm Will Townsend. I manage the networking, telecom, and security practices at More Insights and Strategy. Vishal, it's great to talk to you today.
Thanks a lot, Will. Great to be here with you. Look forward to the conversation.
Let's start with a little bit of context here. So, autonomy certainly drives efficiency, but from your perspective, what does autonomous networks do in the context of telecommunications, and why is it so crucial?
So we have been in this journey of, I would call it, driving automation in the networks for a long, long time. Since the inception of, um, I would call it, uh, 4G world, and even before, people have talked about driving automation. Uh, the two aspects to it. One is obviously the aspect of efficiency, which automation naturally brings to the table. But more importantly, it's really the customer experience. And as we progressed into the digital world, and this idea of having or putting customer in the center of the universe, in everything that you do as a service provider became really a central idea. And you can't really achieve that without actually driving automation and at the core of everything that you do. And when we evolved into the cloud native journey, from the 4G world into 5G, and look at 5G SA and the rest of the softwareization of the network, or I would say cloud native journey or cloudification of the network, autonomous became very critical because you can't really do that degree of cloudification, or I would say become hyper digital without actually going autonomous on the network, which is basically for all practical purpose becoming hands free, and therefore this becomes a central idea now. As we evolved from 5G advanced into 6G world, as we evolved rapidly into a digital world and cloudification of the network, being autonomous, or driving autonomous network idea, or the journey of autonomous network has become central theme in many of our conversations with our customers.
Yeah, from my perspective, autonomy can drive higher degrees of reliability and availability and network assurance.
Absolutely.
In the telecom industry, I mean, it's a brutal industry. I mean, operators have to deal with a lot of challenges. From my perspective, monetization has been a big challenge beyond access. But I'd love to get your perspective on what could autonomous networks do for telecom operators beyond operational efficiency, and what are some of the challenges that it can address for them?
So let's talk about first what it can do. What if you think about it, in monetization you touched upon. Uh, we're putting in all this investment into building these networks, and if we don't have a path to make money, there's no point doing it. And this has been a very big topic across the industry. We lost the bus, or we couldn't get on with the bus in 4G world, but 5G provides a unique opportunity for our customers, to make money. And how do you do that? If you think about it, the central idea of 5G was to monetize through B2B. uh, when you go down the path of B2B, the use cases that you talk about, the ability to drive low latency, high speed networks, it is not possible without actually going fully autonomous and giving the control to the enterprises to be able to provision bandwidth on demand, for example, or quality of service, for example. And all this needs and seamless execution in the network. You cannot have manual intervention if you want to go live in a stadium with an NFL game. With all the cameras and everything else coming into play, because you need really, really very, very high bandwidth network, low latency, high speed network provision for that particular game. And there are many such examples. Correct, gaming industry is big in terms of what it needs to do, and then robotics and drones. There I can rattle use cases after use cases of what is possible. And then the question really is about the challenges. The challenges fundamentally in that realizing that vision or realizing that opportunity is really this this network which is still very hybrid. We still have 4G into the network, we still have 2G and 3G. The networks are not truly cloud native 100%, and somewhere or the other there is a lot of friction in the network. And the operators are doing their best. Correct. There's a lot of transformation going on the BSS OSS side of the world. But where we come into play as Nokia is to help our customers reduce the friction between the digital channel or the digital engagement layer of the operators to the network itself. And that's where our ability to stitch all the capabilities that comes from the network bottoms up with the front end of engagement or digital channels, with our autonomous network solution to help them address the challenge and actually pivot towards executing things like slicing, which can unleash the B2B opportunity that I just talked about.
Yeah, network slicing is exciting. Once these operators get to 5G standalone networks, they'll be able to do that. And to your point, automation is critical to get to that nirvana of network slicing and steering. To your point, latency and throughput, and tailor that to applications and use cases and workloads. But hey, our conversation would be remiss if we didn't touch on modern AI, right? And AI ops is something that's been around for quite some time. Machine learning and artificial intelligence have been around for decades, but now we have generative AI, we have agentic AI that's fast following that. And I know this is an area that Nokia invests in quite a bit. So, from your perspective, when you look at sort of modern AI and machine learning, how is that driving and accelerating this whole notion of autonomous networks?
You know, we talked about this topic of classical AI ML for quite some time, and we've been doing quite a bit of work. And then and just to take a step back, data has been at the core of this whole subject. And if service providers have always claimed that they know their customers better. They have so much data about the customer's experience, their usage of the network. But it's the over the top operators who actually took the cream away and made more money, while there has always been so much of information available in the network with the service providers, and maximum they could do is put that data into a data lake, spend a lot of money trying to just put things here and there, but they could never really unleash the potential of that data. To me, generative AI is actually the first real big change that allows the service providers to do so much more. Because with classical AI and ML, we could actually do a lot of learning. So we could embark on making data available and make the models learn what you can do with that data. But learning can only be possible based on what algorithms you are building, based on what you want to achieve. Correct? It was still reactive as classical software engineering. But with generative AI and agentic AI for that matter, now you can do some crazy stuff. So just talking about generative AI, we have data. Just to give you an example, where we know what happened on a call or a video call or as simply a voice call, as a subscriber or a customer moves from one part of the let's say going to office, in the car, driving, making a call, and the experience goes up and down. But it is impossible for customers to stitch that information, because these the data that gets generated over different networks from different vendors, different protocols, different standards. It's just very, very fragmented. So the opportunity that we have is to first of all help our customers to create that coherent data of that experience by stitching and harmonizing it across different vendors, multi vendors, across different domains. When I say domain, we are talking about transport, core, and radio networks. When I say multi vendor, we're talking about Ericsson, Nokia, and others across the board. Correct. And therefore, as CNS, as my business, we have amazing ability to help our customers really harmonize and stitch that data and create that coherent record, and then make that available for to be consumed by any northbound application. Now when you do that, or I would call it, that becomes the basic hygiene for applying generative AI large language models. Because you need large language models to be able to do all, consume that data all along, so that it is so rich that somebody can just ask a question, that what happened with this customer? He's a high value customer. Tell me, how's that experience has been for this particular high value customer in Manhattan, New York, in today between 9 and 10. Correct. Now, when you ask that question, you need a response which is based on all kinds of possibility, and you can't ask that. You can't build a software for that question to be asked. So that's why generative AI is slightly more different from classical AI or machine learning, because the question is just generic. Correct. Now, you apply agentic AI, you can do crazy stuff, because now, if you apply the human context to that, generic question, then somebody, if you ask me that question as a human, I would say, okay, you ask me that question. Let me tell you what all you can do with that. You can actually see this person was on breakfast watching a video, and what video he watched. Was he watching an NFL game, or was he on a Netflix, or he was in a news, what news channel he was watching? That's what agentic AI does with that. It just applies the classical cognitive, or I would say, augments that with human logic, beyond the generic question. The generic question is generic question, but then you can do so much more. And then you start throwing that to a model, and the model says, okay, now we have an opportunity to offer a service to this customer without human intervention. Correct. That's what you can potentially do. So so now you've got a sales and marketing teams to actually be able to get a products, create opportunity to create a product to be offered to this high value customer, which is just for all practical purpose a snap away in that sense, because you can actually create that product in real time for that customer to be able to subscribe that immediately. To do all this, autonomous network becomes foundational. You cannot do this kind of you apply the generative artificial intelligence, apply the large language model, train it, make it available to an agentic AI. But if the network is not frictionless, how do you get to the outcome? How do you get to the monetization?
Exactly. And all of that infrastructure also supports in general AI workloads, right? Because you mentioned the multi-domain, large language models hosted in the cloud. AI is moving hybrid, smaller language models at network edges, and you need the resilience of an autonomous network to make that all happen. But
Absolutely.
equally important is security. And there's been a lot of news. I'm not going to pick on anyone in particular, but wireless networks, telecommunication networks are critical infrastructure. Bad actors attack them to extort ransom and do terrible things. At the same time, attack surfaces are increasing because of this disaggregation that we're talking about, cloud to on-prem. You've got core hosted, converged core hosted in the cloud. You've got, virtualized RAN. And so it creates this huge attack surface. So from your perspective, what is Nokia doing to ensure the high degrees of security in addition to autonomy within network infrastructure?
So to me, there is no autonomous network if you don't design, or we don't secure by design. This is just basic stuff. Correct. It's just, to me, is hygiene. You have to build your networks in such a way that they are secure by design, and especially critical infrastructure we are talking about. And why so? Because today, two things, Eric. One is obviously the stuff that's going on is putting a lot of pressure, or the regulators are actually really, really going very hard at putting a lot of conditions on our customers to be able to build these networks which are secure by design. So there is a clear push from the regulatory environment to consume that. But that to me is absolutely reactive work we will do, and industry is going to do. But just the idea of what you just mentioned, that the disaggregation and the distributed deployment of these networks is so crazy that the attack surface is virtually everywhere. And the idea of zero trust is just so much more relevant from a classical IT world into this world. And today, the exposure to the bad actors, especially, if I may bluntly say, the nation state actors who are actually going after our customers here, let's say in North America, is just mind boggling. So Nokia actually is, in my view, with the experience we have in the telecom industry, the knowledge of the network, and our ability to understand what happens in the network, we are in a very unique position compared to all our other counterparts from the IT world, to really help our customers be in that journey to secure the network, to secure the critical infrastructure. But nobody can do what we know about the network and what we can do. So we have a portfolio of products from basic things like certificate management all the way into identity access to network detection and response. So our focus on critical infrastructure security has been on endpoint detection, on network detection, network security, as well as on XDR, extended detection and response. We are actually, for all practical purpose, in a very unique position to help our customers in that journey, and we are already seeing some very good results. Our security business is growing in 20-30% year over year. It could easily double year over year. And somehow this is also timing, correct? As I said, the demand is there, the pressure is there from regulators. There is a lot happening in the network. But if you just bring this back to this idea of autonomous network, you have to build networks which are secure by design to be in that journey of autonomous network. So, if you think about it, TMF has got a autonomous network framework where all operators are today at 1.5 to 2 in the rating. In terms, this is from 1 to 5. Out of that, most of my customers are 1.5 to 2, and we are helping these customers to first of all do an assessment of their maturity, in that sense, on the TMF maturity model. And we find security is a big question mark, big topic of discussion in that. And therefore we are also helping our customers to build or secure the network by design, both in terms of the portfolio we offer, the products that we bring into the network to build the network, but also in terms of helping them build their say posture, security posture, ensuring that they can actually take on a lot more and making them more proactive through our products in security, things like what we do in Cyberdome, which is helping them actually have a understanding of the threat score at every network function level, so that they can take specific action and apply playbooks. So it's a lot of exciting stuff. Actually, I'm very very excited. I'm sure you can hear that in my voice.
Oh yeah, secure by design. It's been a big focus for companies, and and from my perspective, security is a team sport. You
Yeah.
have to involve every stakeholder within the organization, not just push it on the NetOps team or the SecOps team to manage. But Vishal, as we wind our conversation up, I'd like to spend a little bit of time with you to understand your perspective and your recommendations that you would make to telecom companies and operators that want to begin this journey towards a more autonomous network infrastructure.
See, first of all, my recommendation number one is, you need to start the journey today, and you have to start it with a building block. You don't have to really embark on a big bang transformation. As we know, these networks are live networks. They have hybrid networks, all kinds of technologies in the play. So it cannot be that one fine day you can just embark on it like a big bang program. You have to have a strategy to take you from level 1 or 1.5 or 2 to 5. And there involves a certain understanding of what that journey looks like. So that's number one. Start it through a building block approach, one step at a time. Second point is that you have to look at a partner who understands your network very deeply. This journey of autonomous network cannot be made through someone who does not really understand your network. Understanding the network is not a vendor specific approach, it is a multi vendor approach. So therefore you also need to select a partner, or engage with a partner who has a multi vendor credential. So that's my number two recommendation. And last, number three is, it's a digital journey. Irrespective of whoever you select, the partner needs to really understand and create value for you in terms of the business impact. Yeah, ultimately, it is about the business. It's about your customers as service providers. And if we as Nokia, for example, do not understand whatever we do, how does it create business value? How does it create business impact? How does it help you monetize your network? Make money. There is really no point. So these are three fundamental recommendations, I would say.
No, I think those are solid recommendations. And Vishal, this has been a very insightful conversation. I also want to let our viewers know that I've written on this subject, Nokia's vision and journey with autonomous networks. There is a research paper that is posted to the More Insights and Strategy website, as well as some additional more informal blog style articles that go into a little more depth around AI ops and security and some of the things that Vishal and I have talked about today. But Vishal, thank you for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure, and really appreciate having this conversation.